Welcome back to the 4th episode with Manifested Wellness. Thank you for joining us again. Excited about this topic. Something that really interested me recently that I've been delving into in the last couple books I've been reading with my book club is the law of vibration. Something I never really looked into before, really overlooked, I think, in the whole journey of the law of attraction that can really change everything in the personal development process. So hopefully y'all enjoy this episode. So we'll dive right into it. So when you look into the law of attraction, I think there's a lot of things that are missing, and some people delve into this journey. They think the positive thoughts, they don't get the results and they give up because, like attracts like. But there's a lot more to this whole process that can really change your outlook on life and what you get back from the universe. And finding out about the law of attraction was actually pretty mind-blowing for me, that everything does vibrate, everything that's living, every little tiny atom, nothing is still, it's always moving, it's in flux, and you send out a frequency. And so human beings especially are always vibrating. And that frequency, it's almost like a radio frequency that you're broadcasting, and whatever frequency you have, you're attracting that same frequency. So two things that are vibrating, kind of like when you meet somebody that you're like, I just vibe with you. It's because you are on the same frequency. I vibe with this guy. And understanding that, I think, is actually a big part of the journey to improve your life, even if you can't change it right away. Knowing that you do have this vibration and this frequency you're sending out into the world. And whatever that frequency is, you can attract it to you. But you have to be on that higher frequency.
Yeah, I think a lot of people hear vibration and they see like the t-shirts, like you've got a little shirt that says good vibes. And I think people, when they hear like your vibration and like your vibe, they think it's kind of like woo-woo or like kind of mysticism or something like that. The reality is, like, this is just physics. So Albert Einstein himself said everything in the world is frequency. Everything in the world. So, what Lindsay was saying is right. Like, every single thing that exists, this table, this glass, this microphone, my shoes, my body, everything is always in motion. So we're all made of atoms, and these atoms are mostly empty space. They're 99.9999999% empty space. There's a little bit of matter, and it's separated by energy, and all that energy vibrates, and everything that vibrates has a frequency, and the frequency is just the rate at which something is vibrating. And so like what Lindsay was talking about, with it being very similar to a radio. So I brought out an old radio because there's probably people watching who've maybe never even seen like an actual old radio. But the way these work is it's a receiver, and you can change the frequency that you are tuned into. And so kind of the cool thing with, like, the best way I think to explain it is to use like this radio, for example. So that's the receiver, and then there's a station somewhere transmitting a frequency. And so there's a rock station and a country station and a rap station. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of the times the way that we perceive the world is because of our own frequency and what we're dialed into. And so a lot of what we get is what we are putting out there. And so if I'm dialed into a classical music station on this, but I really want to hear rock and roll, I can't hear rock and roll until I change the frequency that I'm tuned into. It doesn't mean that the rock and roll station isn't being broadcast. It doesn't mean it's not out there. It just means that I'm not tuned into it, so that's not what I'm hearing. And so a lot of times in the outside world, what we're seeing is really a reflection of the frequency that we're dialed into. And so often we don't like what we see in the world, and we don't realize that we're just kind of tuned into the wrong station. Again, like if you're listening to NPR or whatever kind of news station and it's all negative, until you change the frequency that you're tuned into, you're not going to change what you hear or what you see out there in the world. And so what some people will try to do is, if they don't like the frequency that they're dialed into, instead of changing their frequency to change the frequency that they're receiving, they put earmuffs on and they put earplugs in and they do something. And those earplugs, to not hear the noise that they don't want to hear, might be drugs or any kind of destructive habit, which kind of acts as this way to muffle the reality that you see that you don't like, when the answer is really to tune into a new frequency, like tune into a frequency that's broadcasting the reality that you actually want to see. And that happens by you changing your frequency, because again, what we put out is generally what we receive, and that's very, very true. And so every single thing out there has a frequency. It has a unique frequency. Most of the time, we don't perceive it though. So like when we look at our bodies, we assume it's solid. We don't realize it's 99.9999% empty space and mostly vibrating energy. And our eyes and our bodies just aren't accustomed to, we can't pick up these vibrations, but it doesn't mean it's not happening. And that's even true of non-material things. So I don't see the air right now, but the air exists around me and it's vibrating at a certain frequency. Our thoughts, which is we think of as this non-material thing, is an actual thing that has its own frequency. Our emotions, which again we kind of think of as non-material, they carry their own frequency. And so that's what I think kind of Lindsay wants to go into, is sort of how do you adjust that frequency? If you don't like the music that you're listening to in the world, how do you change your own frequency to go from listening and seeing stuff you don't want to see to tuning into that frequency to allow you to see what you do want to see?
So, great point. Not just physical things, but emotions and thoughts, even experiences have their own frequency. And that's why when you're at a certain frequency, you can attract certain experiences. Not, and this is controversial, that bad things happen that are out of our control. This is not about terrible things happening to innocent people, but, you know, there's always an exception to the rule. But these experiences that you feel and those emotions, you can draw positive experiences to you by having a positive and high frequency, but you can also draw negative experiences to you, negative emotions. If you have this low, hopeless, you know, sad, very low vibration versus high vibe with happiness, hope, and all these positive things. And you can draw people into your life the same way, like you can attract people on the same vibration frequency. And it's all about a mind shift. Being aware, I think, actually is the biggest thing. Being aware that you can actually change your own vibration and frequency that you're vibing at. And it can be affected by other people. Just like when you walk into a room with somebody that's very negative, low vibe, you feel that. You have to make that decision. Do I walk away, or maybe I can change the whole vibration and frequency in that room? Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. I've definitely been more aware with it with work and everything, that I can definitely feel energy in the room. It's kind of woo-woo, but I mean, once you actually tune into it and you realize it is something real, you have so much more power in your life. Imagine that you can change your frequency, vibration. You can change your life. If you're on a more high vibe, you're attracting these high vibe things into your life. So I feel like it is very empowering to know that you do have power on your own life and your journey.
Yeah, and I think, you know, to kind of give you guys, so I hope that makes a little bit of sense about what. Again, this is not a personal development. Yeah. This is just actual physics. This is the way that every single thing in our universe works. Every single thing in our universe is made of energy, and all energy vibrates. So that's why that's called the law of vibration. This is it's truly a law that we don't know any exceptions to. Everything is made of energy. All energy vibrates. Everything that vibrates has a frequency, and there's an unlimited amount. There's truly infinite frequencies that things can vibrate on. And so, you know, understanding that the frequency that you yourself are vibrating on affects the reality around you, you know, is huge, but it means that you do have to pay attention to it. And to kind of give you an example, again, people are like, well, not know everything, like your cup of water here is still. Well, let's take water, for instance, right? If I take this cup of water and I pull energy out of it, now I would do that by making it cold. I'd put it in a freezer. I could freeze this water. I could change the state of this water from a liquid to a solid. If I add a whole lot of energy to this, either by heat, maybe put it in the microwave where I'm literally vibrating the water faster. That's why a microwave heats up things, right? It vibrates things faster. So if I add energy to this, I'm going to get a higher vibration. So the same kind of thing is true in your life. You know, when you're taking energy out, you're kind of slowing that frequency down and that vibration down. And when you add energy in, so I think that's the important thing to realize is, and one of the reasons that more people probably don't tap into this is it does take energy. it's not a no work kind of thing. It takes a lot of conscious thought, because you need to be aware of what you're thinking and what you're feeling and how that is affecting your personal vibration. And then it takes energy. Just like it takes energy to raise the vibration of this water from a slower vibration to a faster vibration, it takes energy in your life to change your vibration from a lower to a higher vibration.
And it takes action.
It takes action.
Action is a big part, I think, that's overlooked in this whole process. Get up and move. Sometimes that's all it takes to actually change your vibration. I mean, I know I'm guilty of that. I can have low vibe days where don't want to really do anything, but even getting up and moving, there's actually scientific evidence behind just getting up and moving, shaking. Maybe people look at you weird, but you actually you can raise your vibration that way by just getting up and moving, making some kind of positive movement.
Yeah. I'll give you guys 3 quick things that you can do in under 5 minutes to that if you practice this, again, this does take energy. But if you practice this, you'll find that you can actually, if you find yourself in a bad vibration, a bad mood, whatever it is, you can get out of that in like 5 minutes. And so the 3 things I would tell you to do, the first thing is to take a few minutes, take a few seconds, and take some breaths, some deep breaths. When we're in this slower vibration, these more down moods, our breathing tends to shallow, very diaphragmatic breathing, and so we don't have very diaphragmatic breathing. And so the first thing you can do is just focus on your breath for a little bit and kind of recenter yourself. And by, you don't necessarily have to sit down and close your eyes and meditate, but focus on taking a good deep breath in, fill your lungs with oxygen, let it out. There's different breathing exercise that you can do. Our channel actually has some breathing exercise that you can check out where it actually
I do that like several times a day at work sometimes.
Yeah, and it's actually scientifically proven based on the length that you inhale, hold, and exhale, they can actually have some physiological effects on your body. But that's the first thing. Just take a second and breathe. The next thing I would tell you to do is focus on something that you're grateful for, either in the past or currently. So that could be a great relationship. It could be the job that you have. It could be the house that you live in. It could be something that has happened in the past, an accomplishment, but something that you're grateful for. And the third thing, and this is the most powerful, is visualization of the future. And this is the action that kind of Lindsay's talking about. This is the first step towards taking that action. And so it's one thing to have the positive thoughts, but it's another thing to have the positive emotions. And so thoughts are the language of our brain and emotions are the language of our heart. And when you can get those 2 things in alignment, some really powerful things can happen. And that's called heart-brain coherence. And so we want to get our thoughts and our feelings in alignment. And so what I want you to do after you've taken some breaths, after you found some things you're grateful for, is I want you to envision a better future, whatever that is. It could be a relationship, it could be a job, it could be finances, it could be a house.
It could be even just feeling a certain way.
Yeah. And so I want you, this is a great thing that if you have a couple minutes where you can kind of sneak away and close your eyes, but if not, you can do this with your eyes open. But I want you to think about that future place where you have the thing that you want, where you're living that version of reality, that life, whether it's you being happier, in a different mood, in a different job, in a different relationship. Picture that, and then envision yourself living in that moment and think about the feelings that you will feel when that has happened. And if you can do that, if you can visualize the reality, and then have the feelings now that you will have when that reality comes true, you've basically trained your body how to receive that new reality. And that's one of the things that keeps so many people from getting the value of the law of attraction. They think it's all about the thoughts. It starts with a thought, but it has to become a feeling for it to truly manifest itself. And when you can feel the feeling of having already accomplished and already having the thing that you want, that's the ultimate state of receivership. And so that is gratitude. When you feel grateful for that, that's signaling to your body that you have already received that thing. And when you're in that state of receivership, that's when a lot of those things are going to start to come your way.
Because that's putting a frequency out to the universe. If you're ready to receive that, and even though you don't know what it feels like to, have whatever dream you have, if you can feel what it would feel like to actually receive it, it's really raises your vibration, and it's going to propel you to start making small actions to get towards that goal, whatever it would be.
Yeah.
Even if it's small, even if it's like, calling a certain person, doing one little thing to tick off, it really just propels you.
For sure. Well, that's all I have. Anything else you want to touch on? We talked about what it is, how it works, how to use it, how to change it. We're going to go into more depth in some future stuff. I particularly want to go into depth on heart-brain coherence. There's a lot of very, very powerful studies that have been done, again, scientific studies that really show how when you can get your thoughts and emotions in alignment, the massive power that it has. And they actually do these through brainwave scans. So again, this is not woo-woo, it's actual science.
Yeah.
And we'll go into more detail about that because it's super powerful. And I mean, we're talking about people being able to do some really miraculous things in their health and in their life and all that.
Themselves.
Appreciate you guys joining us. Lindsay, this was awesome. She's again, she was reading this book and she texted me or called me or said something the other day. Is like, I've got this great idea for a video. We should do it. So I'm really happy that we were able to.
Yeah. So just, it's important that you have control of your life. You just have to take that action and the time and realization, I think, is the biggest thing, that you are powerful.
Yeah. We believe in you. We're here for you. We wish you all the best. Again, take some time, and if you find yourself in a bad spot, take some breaths, find something you're grateful for, visualize the future, feel the emotions of that future now, and I promise you within a few minutes, your vibrational state will change and you will find a better reality for yourself. Appreciate you guys joining us.
Thank y'all so much.
We'll see you next time.